Everybody, thanks for coming back for part 2 of brewing your kombucha at home. So last time we started this SCOBY growing out. You can watch that first video, which will be linked in the description down below if you want to see how we started this. But now we have a SCOBY. It's been growing for 10 days. So what we did to start this, just as a reminder for those who didn't see the first video, we added a bottle of raw organic kombucha, half a cup of sugar, and then we also brewed some tea and left it in there for 10 days. It's been sitting, and so now we have a nice little thin, perfectly round SCOBY that's growing on the top of this, and that's what we're going to use to grow, to brew our full batch of kombucha, which is going to be done in this jar that I bought on Amazon. It's a 1-gallon jar. I actually got 2 of them, as you can see here. So the first step right now, actually what I need to do is I'm going to have to boil some water, brew up some tea, and then we're going to be adding the tea into the jar, at which point I'll dissolve the sugar, and then we're going to add in the SCOBY and some of this as starter tea. So we'll come back after I've brewed this and we'll go on to the next step. All right, so the 1 liter of water that I put on to boil is now boiling away. So I'm just going to add my black tea. And I've showed this before, but this is just some black tea that I bought on Amazon. Now the ratio that you're supposed to maintain is 5 to 8 tea bags per 1 gallon brew. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to probably put in 7 tea bags. So I just turned off the pot. It's just sitting on the hot element here. And I'm adding in the tea bags. So far I've put 3 in there. So I'm going to add 4, 5, 6, 7 tea bags. And I'm just going to let that sit for 15 minutes. Okay, so the tea has finished brewing. So I'm just going to take this 1 liter of black tea and try to pour it into this jar without spilling it. I also should have added in the sugar and dissolved it when it was still really warm, but we'll do our best. So it's a little bit less than a liter. We'll also need 1 cup of sugar. So I'm just going to give this tea a stir to help get that sugar all mixed in so that it can dissolve properly. And then we're going to take out the SCOBY and add that in with some starter tea, and then I'll just fill the rest up with water. So now I'm going to uncover the SCOBY that we grew. It's going to be my first look at that up close. It's got quite a funny smell to it, the kombucha smell. Actually looks really nice. Perfectly round, feels kind of rubbery. But this is going to be what turns our tea into kombucha. And what you can actually see here too is you can really see the difference. This was black tea 10 days ago, just like this black tea is. And you can really see the difference in color between the two. So this is with the SCOBY working away and being fermented by all the nice bacteria in that kombucha versus what it is right now, which is just black tea with sugar in it. You're gonna wanna make sure that the temperature of the tea, this isn't very hot, it's been sitting on the stove cooling off for about 45 minutes, but I do want it to make sure that it's no hotter than room temperature. So if it's any lower than, about 15 degrees, it's going to be too cold, and if it's any hotter than about 30 degrees Celsius, it's going to be too hot. You risk damaging the SCOBY in either scenario. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I have my very well brewed tea. I'm going to bring up the rest to about 3 liters, and then I'm going to leave 500 milliliters of space to add in our starter tea at the end. Okay, so now that I have filled up the tea here, it's pretty cool, but I'm just going to be safe. I'm going to take the temperature of the tea just to make sure it's not too hot to add in the SCOBY and the starter tea. So I just have a regular meat thermometer. This is what I used when I set up the temperature here. I just bought it on Amazon. It's like $10 or something. Okay, so the liquid is 29 Celsius, which is 84 degrees Fahrenheit, which is perfect. That's basically the perfect temperature that you want the liquid to be. So I'm now going to go ahead and put in the SCOBY. And I'm also going to add in 2 cups or 500 milliliters of this starter tea. It's important to add in the starter tea. It's equally as important as the SCOBY, maybe more important. What this is going to do is bring down the pH and make this tea right now, that's black tea with just sugar in it, more acidic, which is going to allow this SCOBY to thrive. So we're going to add in the starter tea as well. And that's it. So So now what we're going to do is we're going to cover this up, just like we covered up our first batch. And I'm going to actually recover this bottle as well. So by recovering this one, it might actually start to grow another little SCOBY on there, and then I can get a second batch going. So I'm just going to leave this, and this could become a SCOBY hotel, or it could become something else. This is going to be the main batch of kombucha. We have our SCOBY down in the bottom. It's going to feed on the sugar that's down in there, along with the tea. And I'm going to leave this covered up for about a week, and I'm just going to check on it periodically to see how it's coming along. I'll be looking for that color change, the smell, and I might even do a little taste test just to see where things are at. The thing is, you want to make sure it's the proper temperature. So it likes to be between 80 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is somewhere between like 24 and 28 degrees Celsius. So try to keep it in that range if you can, a little bit warmer than room temperature. Otherwise, it's fine at room temperature. It'll just take a little bit longer for it to brew. So anyway, that's all there is for this. We'll come back and check on this in 10 days, and we'll do the taste testing and get onto bottling before our second fermentation.